What's up, Freedom fans? Welcome back inside Skip's office. This is episode 8 of the Dennis Pelfrey Show. I'm Aaron Brodie, and that is the 5th-year Freedom skipper, Dennis Pelfrey. This is his show every Monday. Keep it locked on social media. Enjoy it, Skip. A lot to talk about in this edition. Not a lot of Freedom baseball, though. Just one series wrapped up this week, as it was the All-Star break and the All-Star Game, of which we've talked about on and on. The Florence Freedom very well represented in that game. For the first time ever, it was a new look in the Midsummer Classic around the Frontier League this year. The very best of the Frontier League taking on the very best of a different independent league, the Can-Amers. Dennis Pelfrey was the skipper for the team. 6 Freedom players got the nod to go to the game. Ended up being a 7-0 shutout. The Frontier League showing what they could do, flexing their muscles, and you called it from the very beginning. You said it was going to be a great opportunity to make a statement, and boy, did you guys ever.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, my thoughts and my beliefs on the Frontier League and, and what the league's about. I played in the league, and now I've coached in the league. I've coached in the American Association, and, I think we could do the same thing in the American Association, go over there and show those guys, like, exactly what we are. And, I'll continue to say it. I think the talent in the Frontier League is just as good, if not better. The only difference to me is guys are a little more mature, a little more seasoned, and, maybe a little smarter with what they're doing, to keep themselves healthy, for the whole season, those type of things. But the talent's going to be there, and obviously our guys showed it, and it was definitely the best of the Frontier League. And the only negative about playing the other league is the fact that basically 24 or 25 guys, didn't get to make the All-Star team in our league to play, an All-Star team within our league. So, but other than that, I think it was a great experience, and I would love to, throw out a challenge there to the American Association or even the Atlantic League and go try against those guys too.
Sometimes the score doesn't always tell you the full story of a game. 7-0 kind of does, but it really felt like it was even more dominant than that. Of 27 outs for the Frontier League, 13 of them were strikeouts. Talk a little bit about the pitching staff you guys had there. Obviously, it was the best of the best around the league, but the Can-Am guys struggled to really touch anything your guys threw. Yeah,
I think the whole idea, we started Jonathan Tripp, and we wanted to make a statement right away. Jonathan Tripp's velocity is 91 to 93 typically. He'll have some 2s and 4s in there, and he'll touch some 95s. But the way his fastball plays, it plays like it's 96, 98, and they obviously didn't know what to expect when he threw that first pitch, and I think he struck out the side, and set that tone for us. And that was kind of the whole idea that we brought in Gibby, and obviously he did his thing, and everybody, everybody got to throw in the game that was there. We had 10 arms, and, all 10 of them got to throw. The last 3 guys, I wanted to get 2 outs each, and we happened to get a double play ball that kind of ruined that for me. So I think Taylor Wright from Evansville, who's very good, I think he only got to face 2 hitters, but he got, 1 out, and I couldn't risk him throwing to another hitter, getting a double play to end the game with leaving Dakota Smith in the bullpen there. So had to make the move there, and Dakota Smith got to get 2 outs. So Taylor Wright was the only one that didn't get to get 2 outs, but obviously he showcased what he could do as well. And from a hitting standpoint, I think everybody got in the game and got at least 2 at bats, with the exception of Rob Calabrese from Evansville, and he was 1 hitter away from getting his second at bat. So all in all, I think the game went exactly how we scripted it, and we actually dominated them, so it was nice.
I'm not sure how much kudos you got after the game, and you're not able to listen to broadcast during, but it was the Rockland Boulders broadcast crew doing the game, and they were just going on and on about how good of a job they thought you did managing it, getting everybody in the game the way that you did. It seemed like going in that last inning, everybody already had some opportunities, so it wasn't like you were really up against the gun trying to get guys in at the last second. So just in case you didn't hear, congratulations on a well-managed Frontier League All-Star Game, showcasing what you guys can do. 7-0 the victory over the Can-Am League. Talked about the pitching. You guys also hit the ball very well in that game. I told you in Gateway for the series, it was kind of like watching a Freedom game. You get the shutout, the quality start, all the great pitching, but then offensively, 13 hits, 7 runs. Had to feel like you were watching your own guys out there.
Yeah, it was almost a seamless transition. And again, going back to what you said earlier, I appreciate all the, all the kudos and the congratulations for the job that I did. But at the end of the day, it's the players. The players are the ones that get to showcase what they're doing, and I was fortunate enough to be there to enjoy it and kind of just watch it happen. So not a whole lot that I did during the All-Star Game. Like I said, it was all scripted out, and I told the guys how it was going to go, and that's what they did. So it was pretty nice. But yeah, the game itself, from the first inning, we felt like we were winning 10-0. Our guys were excited to showcase what they could do. because I talked to them a little bit about the stigma, between the leagues before, and some of them have played in the Can-Am League and other leagues, so they know what those guys think about us in the Frontier League, and hopefully that at least makes them think about their opinion about us.
Yeah, absolutely. Ricky Ramirez Jr. was the leadoff man that night. I know you love leadoff hitters. How much footsteps is Isaac Bernard hearing now with Ricky being the leadoff guy that night? He had a double in the game. What do you like about Ricky in that spot? We don't really see him hitting the leadoff spot with Your Freedom, but did that night and seemed to do a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, I think the reason I threw him in that spot is because I felt like he was the most dynamic guy to put in that spot on the roster. I think we had a lot of talented players, and we have a lot of 3, 4, 5 hitters.
Yeah.
In that All-Star game. So I know Ricky's done it before, and I think at the end of the day, the numbers that really spoke to me was the walks. I know he was going to give us a great at bat to start the game. So it was similar to Tripp. Not to say that Hector Roa or anybody else in that lineup couldn't give us a great at bat to set that tone. I just knew Ricky Ramirez was going to be able to set a tone for us in the first at bat, and same with Jonathan Tripp throwing in the first inning, set that tone, and guys will follow it and kind of feed off of it.
It was Hector Roa that had 3 hits for the Washington Wild Things, being a catalyst offensively for the Frontier League that night. Jose Fernandez actually took home the MVP honors. Another Wild Thing had a 3-run blast early in the game to make it a 3-run game. Of course, the Frontier League All-Stars got more than enough with that swing of the bat in what became a 7-0 game. Second time Dennis has been on the bench of the All-Star Game, and he's talked about before just kind of the honor that it is to be in that situation. But how much does it mean to you to get that win? And the first time ever the Frontier League's taken on the Can-Am League, there's a lot of eyeballs around it. You talked about it, the Frontier League, sometimes young guys, the stigma might be that they're not developed enough or they're not going to be as good as guys that have played for longer periods of time. You flex the muscle like you talked about. How much did it mean to you personally to see your guys go out there and for you to get that win in that kind of environment?
It's, in all honesty, it means the same as us going out Tuesday and getting a win against the Lake Erie Crushers.
Okay.
Every day I'm here, I want to win. And just like last night, I was disappointed we didn't win that game yesterday. But we're going to get back to work today and be ready for the Lake Erie Crushers tomorrow. It's one of those things that I don't really try to put too much stock into one win or the other. Obviously, it was a huge game for the Frontier League, and I think if I start putting more stock into one game over the other, it takes my concentration and focus away from what the goal is and what we're trying to accomplish. So, to me, it was just another day at the ballpark, and it's hard to describe, after the fact of what it really was. But I think the people that know independent baseball and now the ones that at least got to see a little bit of that and understand what independent baseball is about, it's a pretty exciting moment for them too that are big Frontier League people. Talked
about some of the distractions or trying not to get too preoccupied looking at something other than just the end result. A lot of distractions potentially off the field. The game was played in Rockland County, New York. Obviously so much history baseball-wise in the state of New York. Cooperstown's where they keep the Hall of Fame. Did you do any sightseeing while you were in town? Go out, check out the World Trade Center, anything like that?
No. I've got to spend. I was fortunate when I was coaching in the American Association. We had some crossover games with the Can-Am League, so I was fortunate. One day we had a rain out, and I spent 14 days in downtown, or 14 hours, not 14 days, 14 hours. Yeah, 14 hours in downtown New York City, and it's an amazing place, and it's an incredible place if you've never been to go check it out. But I'm not a real big sightseer or anything other than I stayed in my hotel room the whole time, other than going to the field for the home run derby and going to we had the luncheon. I went to that and kind of forced myself to go to that. And I'm here to do one job, and that's coach a team, and whether it's the Freedom or the All-Star team or if the Boston Red Sox call, go to AAA and manage a club there. That's what I want to do. So as far as the sightseeing stuff, I'm away from my family, so. I'd rather FaceTime with my little boy and my wife than go do that. So, it's not nothing against New York City or what, distractions they have out there. It's a great place. It really is. But, I had other things I wanted to do.
Boy, all business. Dennis Pelfrey and his team, the Freedom, have been all business all year. 19 games above 500, still the best record in all of the Frontier League at 37-18. Just one series to talk about on this edition of the Dennis Pelfrey Show. It was another series victory in Sauget, Illinois. There's a lot of good nuggets to talk about when it comes to a Freedom and Gateway Grizzlies series. You have not lost to that team a bunch in your career, and we'll get there eventually, but it was 2 of 3 the Freedom took from Gateway. at the time, going into the finale yesterday, they had still not beaten you guys yet this season, 0-9, and we'll get into more numbers in a moment. But talk a little bit about the ownership you guys have had over a West Division rival in Gateway this season and even in years past.
I think it just goes down to the matchup. I think our club has typically always matched up well with them. Player for player, arm for arm, those type of things. So, I can't really tell you what the difference is and why we've come out on the winning side more times than not, especially this season. I think we're, like you said, 9-0 going into that game last night, but I think 6 of those games were one-run games, I believe, maybe 5. So obviously it could have gone either way. I think we just, we made one extra play or got one extra 2-out hit. Phil's got a nice club over there, and he's got some players over there that can do some things, especially in that bullpen. They got a couple left-handed pitchers that are pretty good, and a couple back-end righties that are going to be able to close games out for them. So, I wouldn't expect those guys to lay down and just cruise the rest of the season. I think they're going to spoil some teams' chances to make the playoffs because they are good, and it goes back to tell you how good our West Division is. Not to say the East Division is no good, but the West Division I think is superior to the East right now, and it has been for a couple of years now, and it's really coming to fruition now. You're getting to see, we've got 4 of the 5 clubs above 500, and I think the first place club in the East would be in 5th place in our division right now, if I remember correctly. So, it's going to be a tough one all the way through. Fortunately, we've got through Gateway, and we've got 2 more games with them, so hopefully we can at least get, one win there of the 2, and but we've gotten past them, so it's going to be tough for them to spoil our season, but hopefully they can do it for somebody else.
Got a trick question for Dennis here. Stay tuned for this. This should be fun. He has no idea. Do you remember losing a series at home to Gateway since you've been the manager of the Freedom?
No, I don't.
That's because it has not happened.
Hasn't happened?
It has not happened. You have not lost a series to the Gateway Grizzlies at UC Health Stadium since you've taken the reins in 2015. There's just been one series since you've been the manager that Gateway has beaten the Freedom. It was in your second year in 2016 in that last week of June, I believe, at their place. At their place.
I know we split with them last year, I think, in a 4-game series, 2-2 at their place. So.
There was, a couple of caveats, but all the credit in the world to Nate Gatter, terrific broadcaster for the Gateway Grizzlies, giving me some of these numbers to arm me for this edition of the Dennis Pelfrey Show. But yeah, it was 2016, late June. You did have 2 splits with Gateway last season, but the last time they actually won a series against the Freedom was in your second year. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that is. That's obviously it's like the guy who hits 5 straight homers off of Trevor Bauer in the Indians, type thing. So it's one of those things that it's, I wouldn't necessarily say it's luck or anything like that. It just happens to, we play Gateway in the right time and when our club's playing really well. So, especially that 4-game series here a couple weeks ago, it's really tough to sweep a team in 3 games, and it's almost impossible to beat a team 4 times in a series. So, again, it goes back to our guys and what they're trying to accomplish, and not making a big deal about that, because obviously everybody knows that we had not lost to them yet this season, but our guys just take it pitch to pitch, at bat to at bat, and continue to do those things.
Always a bunch of remarkable performances, it seems like, night in and night out when you're watching a Freedom game, and usually it's somebody different stepping up to the plate or on the mound to do the trick. Scott Sebald was electric in his start against the Gateway Grizzlies this weekend. Ends up taking home Pitcher of the Week honors this week, so congratulations to the lefty Scott Sebald if he's watching this on his first Pitcher of the Week nomination this season. Almost won a no-hitter, almost had a perfect game. He went into the 5th inning before allowing a base runner, being Luke Lowry, the same guy, the DH for Gateway, would spoil the no-hitter in the 7th after 2 outs had already been recorded. The lefty was absolutely cruising that night.
Yeah, I think in that 5th inning where he hit Lowry, I didn't have a great angle of it, but I felt like he kind of stuck the elbow out. He's one of those type of players that I like, that's going to try to find a way to get on base, especially if they haven't gotten a hit or haven't really been hitting balls hard. So he found a way to get on right there and took advantage of using the elbow guard. Not to say that nobody else does that, but I felt like it was 50-50 whether it could have been called back, for him trying to get
it
on
purpose. It was one of these, for sure.
So I think that kind of disrupted Scott just a little bit. Not to say, he got out of that inning without giving up a hit, but what it did is create an extra at bat for somebody down the road and got Luke Lowry up in that position. where he really would have been up in the 8th inning to lead off the inning. So it could have been a whole different story, and we could be talking about some history here right now if he didn't throw that elbow out there. But obviously hats off to him for getting on there, and then he gets the jam job single to break up the no-hitter, and then Anthony Ray with a nice line drive single. But other than that, the Gateway offense was stifled by Scott and what he's able to do. He's a big presence on the mound, and he's just been getting stronger and stronger every time out.
There's no question about that. Sebald would go back out in the 9th inning, wouldn't get the complete game. He would get the first out in the frame, but then Zach Spivey faced just 2 hitters to salt away what was a 5-0 shutout victory for the Freedom. It's got to feel good to see your team go out there and get shutouts consistently. With that one, you guys improved to 3-3 in shutout games this season, but with the way you guys can hit the ball offensively, we've talked about it plenty already. Your pitching staff, sometimes their job isn't too difficult, but the same thing can be said about the offense with your pitching staff. Just another complete series, at least the first 2 games for your club there in Sauget, Illinois.
Yeah, I think and our guys know that, and so there's no pressure put on one certain guy to be able to be the guy. I think yesterday Gibson he gave up all 4 hits and all the base runners except for 1 in the first inning, and from then on, we took care of business and basically no-hit him the rest of the way yesterday. And then, it was a little different story on Friday night where, Daniel Williams couldn't get through the 5th. His pitch count just got a little high, so we made some moves. But obviously, our staff is capable of coming in the 4th or 5th inning, and our bullpen can shut some things down too. So it doesn't really matter what happens, from an offensive standpoint. If the pitcher's throwing a no-hitter, we're still going to do our thing, and we may score 5, may score 10, may score 1. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to do just enough or whatever it takes to win the game, and I think that's the most important thing.
Another cool moment taking place while the Freedom were in Sauget, Illinois, or really staying in the St. Louis area. The local St. Louis Cardinals took notice of one of your players, Tyler Reichenborn, the 20-year-old phenom who made the seamless transition from the college ranks and the NAIA level with Tennessee Wesleyan. Hit over 300, in fact around 320, with 3 home runs, 15 RBIs, and 20 games played for the Freedom this season. Signs with the Cardinals while you guys were on the road. Got to be excited for Tyler to get that opportunity. He'd been drafted once, but no real surprise to see him plucked away here this season.
No. When we got him and got to see him for a few games, I think I said it to the Red Scout here in Florence and a couple other managers on other teams that I think he's the best college senior free agent, whatever you want to call it, college graduate or, college senior that did not get drafted as far as position player. His swing will play. He's a plus defender. He's 20 years old. Obviously, that's a plus for major league organizations. So I knew it was just a matter of time. And, he's a phenomenal kid and a great kid and, not a problem whatsoever. Like he's a guy that I see, and I think I sent it to you in the quote about him, is he's a guy I see that could make it to the big leagues within the next 4 or 5 years. I think he's got the ability and the tools to be able to do that, and as long as he doesn't get hurt and does what they ask of him, I think you'll see him progress very quickly in their organization because he is that type of player. He's a good, solid player. So, but obviously, congratulations to him, and but for me, it was one of those things that was kind of inevitable, like I would say about Jonathan Tripp and Gibson and several of our other guys that I think, I feel like deserve an opportunity because of the way they're playing and what they can bring to the table. But Tyler, yeah, I think my nickname the first day we had him was instead of Reichenborn, I just called him Born to Rake. So,
that's right.
So I think it first started as Reichenborn, and then it was just Born to Rake. So, but we wish nothing but the best for that kid, and obviously if something happens, he gets released, we'd love to have him back, but I do not want to see him back here.
I don't think we will. I agree with you. He's a special player. All the best to Tyler Reichenborn and his future endeavors in the game of baseball. So let's talk about it a little bit. You've been here since 2015, but just since 2017, you've sent 10 guys to major league affiliations. Obviously, guys come here and thrive. Do you consider yourself a player manager, a player's manager, one of those guys that is right there with them? They want to go to battle for. Obviously, they want to go to battle for you, but there are all different types of managers around the game of baseball. Guys here just seem like they have more fun. They're relaxed. I think that's a reflection of leadership. Do you consider yourself to be a player's manager?
Honestly, I don't even really know what that is, like what that means. I hear it all the time. It's a stereotype or it's a label. Again, it's like what I talk to the players about. Be themselves, be what they are. That's why you're here. And I think if I could say what I am as far as a manager. I'm myself, or I'm Lambo, So
that's right.
A lot of people like Lambo unless you get on that bad side. So that's what it is. It's not. I'm not a player's manager. I'm not because what's the other one? Is the other one an organizational manager? What are the others?
I think it's like a jerk manager.
Jerk
maybe.
Manager. Yeah. Hopefully I'm not a jerk manager. But
no.
But no, I think I'm just me. And I'm honest with the guys. I think that's the biggest thing. And the expectations. They understand my expectations. And but at the end of the day, it's the players that we get. And I think it's our coaching staff does a phenomenal job of when we're trying to find a player to replace a guy like Renken, of doing our research and making sure that he's going to be a fit. But I will go back and say that number is not 10; it's actually 12 because we got Ryan Colgate and Skylar Ewing picked up this offseason. So
there you go.
Yeah, so no big
so unofficially,
yeah.
That's unbelievable. 12 guys moving on just in the last couple of years. And the Freedom in 2017 were the best team in the West Division. That's exactly what they are again in 2019. In fact, right now, the best team in all of the Frontier League. So you got a big series coming up with the Lake Erie Crushers. They're one of just 2 teams in the Frontier League that can say that they've beat you guys multiple times in a series in the first half of the season. Just them and Evansville hold those bragging rights. How much of that is on your mind, on your players' minds going to Lake Erie? I know you talked about just winning every day individually. That's the most important thing. But is there any extra incentive to go up there to Lake Erie because of the success they've had this season against you guys?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously we felt some blows from them, and Evansville coming in this weekend too is going to be another one where we feel like we owe those guys a little bit. And I like that a little bit with our guys too. They'll have a little bit of that chip on their shoulder, so to speak. Obviously, I think Lake Erie caught us at a tough time, and we still battle those games too. But they caught us at a tough time in that 21 games of a 20-day stretch where right before the AllStar break, where our guys were gassed, and it was the toughest stretch that I've ever seen in the Frontier League, that I've ever been a part of, and had to watch. And so obviously our guys played through it and did well, going 16-5 in that stretch. And 2 of those losses came at the hands of the Lake Erie Crush, and I guess maybe you could say 3 because of the continuation game. But they're going to have some confidence playing against us too. So I think it's going to be a nice series. Their pitching staff does a great job. I think they shut out Evansville 2 nights in a row. It's going to be a good one, and at their ballpark, it goes back to what we talked about before. The games are going to be really, really low scoring, I think. So we're going to have to manufacture some runs. We're going to have to do some things to kind of create some offense, where we can string together 3 or 4 doubles in a row or something like that. And maybe we might go up there and score 10, 12 runs. Who knows? But I think it's going to be a very good series, and it's going to showcase. I think they're leading their division over there too. So the 2 first place teams going at it is always nice in the Frontier League. So we're looking forward to it.
It's going to be a lot of fun, good series. What is the big key, you think? You're usually pretty prophetic in being able to describe what you either want to see and getting it to happen right away. So I'll give you that chance to create some good juju right now. What needs to happen in that series for you guys to go up there and take 2 of 3 or get a sweep?
I think we need to score first. I think if we can do that and put them behind the 8 ball, so to speak, a little bit, put pressure on them early, I think that's going to help us, get over the hump, I guess, if you will, with the Lake Erie Crushers series so far. I think if we can go up there and score 2-3 runs in that first inning tomorrow, it's going to set a tone for us, similar like what we talked about in the AllStar Game, set that tone. And I think we got Castellana going tomorrow as well, so we feel pretty good about that as well. So I think that's going to be the key. If we can score first in those games, you'll see a Freedom sweep.
I'm actually really glad you went there because we need to talk about this. When the Freedom score first this season, do you have any idea what your record is when you guys score the first run?
Nope.
25-4.
That's pretty
so,
good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And to me, that it doesn't seem to make sense. What is it about scoring that first run? Is it just setting the tone, getting everybody kind of feeling the juices, knowing it's going to be your day? Because it seems like that's something that would be arbitrary, wouldn't necessarily always matter. But when you guys score first, you basically win every time.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. It really is because we score early a lot. So, for that record to be so lopsided is very impressive, and it shows. Like I said, it shows what our pitching staff can do for us, especially if we get them a couple runs early. But I think it just kind of it keeps stringing along. So I think if we score 1 or 2 in the first inning, it's like the other night we won 5-0. It was like 1 in the first, 2 in the third, 2 in the fifth. And we just kind of keep putting pressure on those body blows we talk about, like the boxing matches. So, very rarely do we score 5, 6, 7 runs in an inning. I think when we do, 1, 2, or 3 in innings, we kind of string them together and kind of, take those body blows for the knockout there in the 6th, 7th, 8th innings. And that I think that's what really helps us continue to move on, and then we string it together the next day and the next day.
So absolutely, yeah. So 25-4 in games that the Freedom score first this season. He talked about it. That's how they win games. Well, they've won a lot of games, more than any team in the Frontier League through the first half. Now, plus in the second half of the season, 37-18, the record for the Freedom this year. Been a magic carpet ride to start. Hoping it all continues. But thank you so much for your time again today, Dennis, and best of luck to you in that Lake Erie Crusher series this weekend in Avon.
I appreciate you.
No problem. This is the Dennis Pelfrey Show every Monday. Keep it locked on social media. Follow at @OneRealBrodie, at Rob_Rundle, at Pelf12 too as well.
Oh, yeah,
maybe right. You'll put it out there.
Yeah, I'll throw it out there.
You'll throw it out there. And also at Florence Freedom and on FlorenceFreedom.com. Have a great day. Thank you very much, Dennis. DP Show, episode 8 comes to a wrap.